Okay, so it is Pride Month, and one thing I will say is that this video is not meant to hurt anyone or offend anyone in the LGBTQ community. But just to make sure, if your feelings don't get hurt, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. That way I know I did not offend any of you guys. But if I did, well, I'm sorry, I guess. Anyways, let's just jump straight into the story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an insane video. So today's story takes place back when I was in grade 10. When I was in grade 10, one thing I will say was that bullying was very common. As much as I know that bullying isn't a good thing, being bullied was just a very common thing throughout my high school. I won't say I got bullied as much, but I will say this much, I did get picked on. But the only reason I got picked on was becoming a YouTuber. So to all the bullies that watch my videos now, get wrecked. I'm a YouTuber. Sorry, that's not the point, but going on. Anyways, I remember back when I was in grade 10, it was Pride Month like it is right now. And basically what ended up happening was that, let's just say, the LGBTQ community in our school really had a voice. And by having a voice, I mean they always had a voice, but let's just say it got to the point where they were pushing it down people's throats. Apparently, one thing the LGBTQ was trying to do was make an assembly where basically they would have, like, you know, a trans person come in and talk about them coming out, and also they tried to get like drag queens to come into the school. And I know this is a very common issue nowadays, and I just want to say this is really nothing new, because I remember back when I was in grade 10, they actually managed to somehow get the assembly of them bringing drag queens, furries, and let's just say people in the LGBTQ community to speak up. And when I first heard about this, I thought, oh great, just another assembly that I'm gonna skip. Now, no, I am not in any way homophobic. It's just, honestly, one thing I realized growing up was that I grew up in a really strict family home, and that I grew up really not understanding the LGBTQ community. Hell, even nowadays I don't fully understand it. But one thing I will say is that I was going to skip the assembly, and I remember when it was the day of the assembly, I heard a lot of people on the football team deciding to actually start a riot. Now, I have no idea why the football team wanted to riot. It made no sense to me, but at the same time, I guess they just wanted to goof around, which made sense because, you know, it was not uncommon for them to do that. So I remember around lunchtime before the assembly started, because the assembly started right after lunch, I was in the cafeteria eating my sandwich, and I was just sitting down doing my own thing. And one thing I realized was that when I was sitting in the cafeteria was that there were some people smoking outside, smoking a Zaza, if you know what I mean. And they were talking about basically how it's super unfair that the LGBTQ community gets to have an assembly, but when it comes to something about like suicide and stuff, they didn't get an assembly. I have no idea, but one thing was for sure, they were very upset about something. So me listening in, I remember I decided to kind of lean towards the window to understand what was going on. And I remember there was one really loud kid that was super upset and super angry about this LGBTQ community, that he really wanted to do something to really piss him off. Now, when I heard about this, I thought maybe I should say something, but obviously I was in grade 10. I mostly kept to myself like other high schoolers would, and I realized that it was really not my place to say anything. So going on, I remember the bell rang, and basically I got up and started getting ready to go to the classroom to get ready for the assembly. When I started walking to the classroom though, I remember there was one really angry kid that walked right past me, and he was the one that was basically talking all the smack about, you know, the LGBTQ. And I remember he bumped into me and said, "Watch it, freak," and kept walking. But one thing I realized about him when I looked at him was that he had a tattoo on his chest. And the tattoo this kid had on his chest was not a normal tattoo that anyone should have. If anyone knows World War II, let's just say having a Nazi logo tattooed on you was not a good thing, at least in my mind. So going on, I remember I kind of just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go to my class and do my own thing. And that's what I did. I went to class. I ended up sitting in my chair, and let's just say the teacher instantly walks in wearing an all rainbow outfit saying, "Okay, class, let's start heading for the assembly. Woo, Pride Month." And I remember everyone looked at her with a blank face as if we did not care. We all stood up, started lining up, and started heading towards the assembly. When we got to the gym, we all ended up sitting in there, sitting on the bleachers, and we all sat down and just basically watched this whole thing go down. They were playing music, you know, throwing flags around and all this stuff. And then this is where the story gets really intense, because I remember out of nowhere when we were all sitting down on the bleachers, there were two drag queens walking up on stage and basically holding a giant rainbow flag. Now, if you guys don't know what the rainbow flag stands for, it stands for the LGBTQ. I don't know why the rainbow is the LGBTQ logo, but I guess they have like colors to coordinate, like, you know, what gender's which. Anyways, I remember when the flag came in and they were holding it up, and this girl was giving a speech about, you know, coming out and basically being yourself. I remember the kid that was super upset from outside the cafeteria ends up standing up and running and sprinting through the rainbow flag. When he sprinted through, I remember everyone started cheering and everyone started yelling, celebrating, and all the jocks were standing up going, ooh, 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 let's go. But then what this kid did next was not normal, because I remember the drag queen that was, you know, giving a speech ended up walking up to the kid saying, oh, like, are you coming out? Is that what you're doing right now? Oh my goodness, tell us what gender you are. And I remember this kid ended up basically grabbing the microphone saying, I am a male, I am only a male, and all of you guys need to literally go and fix yourselves. Pray the gay away. And he ended up pulling out a lighter and lighting up the rainbow flag and dropping it on the ground. This blew everyone's mind, and I remember everyone started freaking out when the rainbow flag was on fire, literally in the gymnasium. I remember teachers started standing up and everyone started freaking out, and kids actually started running out of the gym and sprinting away. And I want to say me, I didn't know what to do in the moment. So I ended up standing up and just literally running out of the school and running all the way across the street. And when I ran across the street, one thing I realized was that there were a lot of sirens, and I mean a lot of sirens coming down, and it was a lot of firefighters and cops came down, and the kid with the tattoo of a Nazi logo ended up actually getting arrested. Honestly, I'm not surprised because lighting anything in school is illegal, but man, that was the most insane Pride Month of my entire life. I will say this much. I understand that people are not willing to accept change in this world, and I get how, you know, times have changed from back then till now. But one thing I will say is that let's just all respect each other. Like, seriously, if you want to be something, be it. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, just fall for embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.